Welcome to Flight Simulator X Steam Edition with XBradTC. Today we're going to take the mighty PMDG 737NG from Palm Springs International to San Jose. First things first, from cold and dark, battery on. Cover the switch, check battery power, DC voltmeter selector, 28 volts, and set AC voltmeter selector to standby power. Master caution, disengage. Check the hydraulic pumps. Set all to off. Check fuel pumps, all off. And interior lights. Panel light, floodlight, main panel lights, background, AFDS flood, panel light overhead panel, and the circuit breaker panel. Okay, that's all the lights. Check cabin utility power on. In-flight entertainment passenger seat power on. Let's go to the connect to ground power. No, screwed that up. Okay. Ground power, air start unit, and air conditioning connected. Pitot covers removed. And select ground power. AC voltmeter check, make sure you're getting power. Emergency lights, armed, covered. External lights. Master caution disengage. Seat belt auto on. Back to the flight management computer and select the payload menu. And fuel, set 1/3 fuel. Alright, recirculation fans left and right checked on. Packs left auto, pack right auto. Check autopilot's off. Set cruise altitude pressurization. And we're going for 34,000 on this trip. Autopilot is off. Tube brake is off. Okay, engine fire warning test. Go to the inertial reference system. And select test. And then select heading STS. IRS 1 and 2 to align. FMC. Initial reference. Enter airport code. Okay, copy GPS left, turn, enter. And both IRSs to nav, the route page. And this is not how I normally set up the route. I normally use a flight planning system and upload a company route. And you'll notice we screw this up. Invalid entry. Because I can't type on the FMC. It's pretty difficult to type. It takes me a little while to figure out what I'm doing wrong. And of course the keyboard layout is different from what you're used to typing, so it's kind of hard to do that. Alright, finally got the departure airport. And one of the things this takes a long time to get the 737 up and running, and one of the reasons is it's a two-man airplane. It has a captain and a first officer, and ordinarily one would be doing half of this, while the other one does the other half, and they flow through it. Obviously, I can't do that. It's just the one of me. Clear. Select the flight number. This is a random Delta flight number since we're in a Delta jet. We don't actually fly a 737 to San Jose out of Palm Springs. There are jet flights to San Jose from Palm Springs, but they're usually either A320s or regional jets. Okay, I go to my pre-planned route. I use a system called Aivlasoft electronic flight bag for most of my route planning. And that tells me my first waypoint is SLI, Seal Beach, and I don't know why I'm trying to put it on the VIA. 2. And there's 2 SLI waypoints in the worldwide database. I just got to make sure I select the right one. Next waypoint is LAX. And we'll accept that. We actually need to add one more waypoint. Actually, we need to add the AVE waypoint, but that's actually going to be part of the transition to the approach. So we'll actually take care of that while we're in flight. Okay, now, performance initiation page, enter the zero fuel weight, enter the cost index, and cost index is a rather arbitrary number between 0 and $9.99. Airlines determine that. Enter cruise flight level. We're going to be cruising at flight level 340. It's 34,000 feet, very approximately. Enter the reserves and execute. And this is what your airline pilot does every day on each leg, getting the navigation set up for your flight wherever you're going. The flight management computer, and there's two displays, one for the pilot, one for the co-pilot, on either side of the pedestal. They vary a little bit from airliner to airliner, but in general, they all work pretty much the same way. All right, now we're going to calculate our takeoff performance. We're going to use flaps 5 for takeoff today. And now I'm going to start the auxiliary power unit. APU on and start. It's going to take a little while to run up. The APU on a 737 is just a little small jet engine in the tail, and you can see it going through its auto start sequence, and it provides power to a generator. You can run the electrical bus off of it. It also provides bleed air you can use to start the engines. Very handy little thing to have. Alright, you see the RPM gauge for the APU is starting to settle back down from its initial ignition, and it's going to settle on a constant speed, and very soon, there we go, we have APU power available, and we're on the APU bus. APU bleed switch on, voltmeter select, APU. Make sure that the APU is actually generating power for us. Back to the FMC, we're going to go disconnect those ground connections. And select com frequency. We're going to check the airport information. Make sure that we have all the winds and air pressure and which runways are in use. A bit of weather report. We're going to program in our squawk code. In an instrument flight or flight in controlled airspace, clearance and delivery will assign you a discrete 4-digit code. Just because I'm not using ATC on this flight and just going through the startup, I'm using an arbitrary code that I made up, and 4321. Alright, set current altimeter pressure, and back to the FMC. Check that we have initial altitude set. Yep. And departure. We're departing from KPSP. There is a standard instrument departure. Today we're going to use the Thermal 6. We're going to be taking off from runway 13 right. Ordinarily, craft usually flies out of 13 left, but the winds are a little weird today, so we're going to be flying backwards as it were. And execute. We're going to go check the route page. And there's a discontinuity. We're simply going to cut and paste. And there we go. That looks good. Takeoff page. Enter our takeoff speeds, which the FMC calculates for us. Set the takeoff trim. I have a little bit of trouble with the trim wheel here. The FMC automatically is calculated for us, or the ACARS actually has, but that's not simulated here. What our center of gravity is and what our takeoff trim needs to be. I'm looking for 4.67 units. The best I can get here is 4.64. It's going to take me a little bit to get that just quite right. And, well, you know, close enough. And 108 at 6, so the winds are from the southeast at 6, pretty calm. Enter. And unfortunately my previous takeoff speeds were deleted. Because entering the winds has changed the calculation of what my reference speeds will be. And so I have to re-enter the reference speeds. Okay, elevator is set. Gangway is gone. Doors are closed. Generator bus switch is closed and covered. Alright, fuel pump's on. Center tanks are empty because we only loaded 1/3 fuel, so we'll end up turning those off here in a minute. The wing fuel pumps are on. Yeah, turn those off. And hydraulic pumps on. And collision light. That's just me turning off the radio. There we go. Any collision light on. Pack left and pack right off, because the air from that is coming from the APU, and we need that air instead to start the engines. Check Throttles at idle. Start pushback. We're going to go directly back 25 feet. Probably should have gone a good bit further.
And ground cockpit.
Go ahead, Captain.
We're all set to go up here. We've been cleared to push and start at your discretion.
Roger that, ready for push. Power and air are clear, doors closed. We are ready for pushback. Please park and brake, please.
Okay,
park and brake off.
Push.
We should be starting pushback here very shortly. And this is the ORBX add-on scenery for Palm Springs International Airport, which unfortunately the gangways are not animated here. You can find some airports add-on scenery where the jetway actually does come in and move out. As you see, we didn't back up very far. Next time we're going to back up a little further to make it easier to taxi out of here.
Okay, sir. Tow bar is off. Pin is out. Pin on the right.
Alright, guys.
Okay.
Thanks. You're cleared to disconnect. We will
Going
be
with the
watching
engine
for
start.
the pin and the release from guidance.
Throttles
on
at
the right side
idle,
of the
engine
airplane,
cut off fuel,
and, we'll see you guys
switches
next time. Sure.
to cut off.
Roger that. Have a good flight.
Check the duct pressure gauge. Ignition selector to both. Left engine. Start switch to ground. And take a look and see the air is being ducted from the APU, spinning up the left engine. And after it reaches 20%, we can go ahead and flip on the fuel control switch, and it will automatically continue the startup process. Once the engine is actually started and stabilized, the engine control start switch will automatically switch back to off, and then we'll switch it back to continuous, and then we'll start the right engine. And I think I just heard the click. Yep. So, continuous. Right engine, ground start. Away we go. And see the spin in start. And 2, looking for 20. Get distracted a bit because I'm busy trying to read the checklist. Come on. It's well over 20. Time to hit the fuel control switch to on. There we go. A little bit more. And fuel on. And she will start momentarily. Takes just a minute to spin up. And wait to hear the click. And the switch goes continuous. There we go. And the AC voltmeter selector. Well, first we're going to tie in generators. So the engine generators are providing electrical power now. Check the AC voltmeter on both generators to make sure we're actually getting the power we need. We're good to go there. APU off. APU bleed off. And left and right air conditioning packs onto auto. Pitot heat switches on. Delete engine anti-ice and wing anti-ice. Don't really need that today. Yaw damper on. Flaps. Select. And we've decided to use a 5-degree flaps for takeoff. So we'll get those in transition. Auto brake set to RTO, rejected takeoff. So at any time over 60 or 80 knots, if we start to apply the brakes and reject the takeoff, it will automatically go to maximum braking. Taxi lights on. When we turn off lights on, logo and other lights on. TCAS test, the traffic collision avoidance system. It's kind of a two-way transponder for planes to know where other planes are. Helps to avoid mid-air collisions. With the built-in self-test button, it's going to take a little bit before it comes back with TCAS test pass. As soon as we pass the test, we're going to go to TARA. Alright, we're ready to taxi. Like I said, should have backed up a little further, but you can turn a 737 on a dime. No real problem getting out of here. And we have done enough time at Palm Springs. We know our way around the airport pretty well. Ordinarily, you would call, as soon as you push back, you would call the tower and request taxi, and they would assign you the taxiway to your runway for takeoff. In this case, we're just not fooling with air traffic control today. Just wanted to show you the startup of the cold and dark PMDG 737 up to ready for taxi. Hope you enjoyed it. Our next video, of course, will be the takeoff and climb phase, and then eventually we'll have the arrival and landing at San Jose. Thanks for watching Flight Simulator X Steam Edition with your host, XBradTC.